Hey, Susan. I get what you're saying about the points when you're doing transformations. So whenever you do transformations in GeoGebra, um, it's just not the segment that it's transforming. It's also the endpoints of that segment as well. So let me like up here on this first image, that center label is weird because there's actually probably 6 points that are there. So and each point has a different label. So yeah, so there are A prime, A double prime, A triple prime, and then C and C prime. It is possible to hide all of those extra points and or hide labels if you would like. So if I click on the more, there are these editing tools, and this is where I can show or hide labels. So I can just click on the, I don't want to click, I'll leave A there, but if I can click on A, and then I can click on A double prime and A triple prime, and then C and C prime if I would like. Let me deactivate that tool and let me undo all those steps. It is also possible to hide each of these different points that you don't need. So I can click on Show or Hide Object. I can click on A double prime and then C and then C prime and then A triple prime and then A prime. And then when I put that tool away, the only point that'll be left there is point A. Let me undo that step again. Another way that you could also do this is if I go to the algebra view, and there are a bunch of things that you've created here, so I get that. These things are created in construction order. So here is I could probably click on the radio button there and hide point C prime. And I think C was another one. And then A triple prime and A double prime and A prime. So by hiding all those points there, you can also kind of get rid of all those extra points. I'm not sure if you're concerned about these labels. It is possible to rename your points. So I will leave B there. If I click on B prime, I can, sometimes I can just click and let me see if I can name this an S. Yeah, so that won't let me click on it to rename it. So if I go to the settings, I can rename it as an S. And then if I go to B, I can rename it as a T, for example. So I can rename all of those points as well. And that's in the settings submenu. And so when you reflected, I wonder if there is a hidden line up here somewhere, but probably not. So if you reflected it over a actually reflected it about point E, got it. So E is, oh, let me do that. I did not mean to do that either. So there are two labels there. And so again, using the show and hide label or show and hide tool, so if I click on the E prime label and put that tool away, that label's gone. The point still exists. There's probably 2 points there. And that is where I would probably go back to my algebra view and find the points that I'd like to hide. And I think so E prime is hidden. And there's F prime. And there's F. So if I hide all of those, the only thing that's left is E. This is one of the things that my students used to do. They would do most of their work in the algebra view and use those radio buttons to hide their points. And then this last drawing, I created this drawing by a segment hiding the label. Yeah, so if you want to hide the dot at H, here's H. And my guess there's also an H prime there as well. Yes, so that is what you'd have to do to find those points. I think my suggestion might be to try to hide those points as you go and not try to chase them down at the end. But I know that can be terribly difficult. One thing that I did used to do with my students is I would introduce them, instead of using the tools, especially older students, I would introduce students to the command nature of GeoGebra. So every one of the tools in this tool palette has an associated command. So I could rotate any object I want. So I'm going to rotate point A by 100 degrees around point D, which is going to be up there at the top. And so that turns out into that point there. So I've taken point A, rotated it 100 degrees counterclockwise around point D. This is something that I used to do with my students, my older students, well, 10th grade geometry students, and then they could hide things and control things a little bit better as they went. Longer than I want it to be. I don't know if this is going to answer any of your questions or help solve some of the issues, but maybe working in the algebra view might help kids hide their points, and also suggest maybe hiding those points or renaming those points as you go.